Never stop reading the Bible. Welcome to this deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're jumping into the Old Testament, specifically the books of Chronicles.
That's right. And we're focusing, for this session anyway, on 2 Chronicles, the first 4 chapters.
Chapters 1 through 4. And these really, they set the scene for King Solomon's reign.
Mm-hmm. And his huge project, building the temple.
Exactly. Now, before we dive in, it's probably good to remember what Chronicles is generally about, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. The big themes in 2 Chronicles, you could say, are temple and reform. It's quite focused.
It starts with Solomon, goes through Judah's kings.
All the way to the end of the exile with Cyrus's decree letting people go back. So it's got this specific historical sweep.
Okay. So for today, we're really zeroing in on Solomon getting started, his, initial success and the very beginnings of that temple construction.
Just as these first 4 chapters lay it out, we'll try to unpack what's going on and why it matters.
Perfect. Let's get started then. Chapter 1 kicks off almost immediately with Solomon and an act of worship.
A pretty major act of worship, yeah. Solomon goes to Gibeon.
Gibeon. Why Gibeon?
Well, that's where the tent of meeting was at the time, along with the bronze altar from the wilderness wanderings. It was the high place.
Ah, okay. The main sanctuary before the temple.
Exactly. And Solomon offers, well, the text says, 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar.
1,000. Wow. That's a significant number. Really makes a statement.
It certainly does. It shows tremendous devotion right off the bat. And it sets the stage for what happens next.
Which is pretty dramatic. God appears to Solomon.
Yeah.
That very night, apparently.
Yes, in a dream. And God basically says, ask for whatever you want me to give you.
An open invitation. And this is where it gets really telling, isn't it, what Solomon asks for?
It really is. He doesn't go for, long life or riches or defeating his enemies.
Which you might expect a new king to want.
Right. Instead, he asks for wisdom and knowledge.
Specifically to govern God's people well.
Exactly. He says something like, give me wisdom and knowledge that I may lead this people. For who is able to govern this great people of yours? It shows a real sense of responsibility.
A focus on governance, on justice, rather than just personal gain.
And God's reaction is key here.
He seems genuinely pleased with the request.
Very. God says, essentially, because you asked for this, and not for wealth or honor or the lives of your enemies or long life,
but for wisdom to govern.
I'll give you not only that wisdom and knowledge, but also wealth, possessions, and honor like no king before you or after you will have.
So he gets the wisdom he asked for and the things he didn't ask for.
It's this idea, isn't it? Seek first the kingdom, the right priorities, and these other things get added.
And the text notes that this promise was fulfilled. It mentions his incredible wealth, chariots, horses.
Yeah, thousands of chariots, loads of horsemen, real power and riches, which, of course, would be pretty useful for the huge building project he's about to undertake.
That leads us perfectly into chapter 2. Solomon decides it's time to build the temple.
Yes, a house for the name of the Lord, and also, interestingly, a royal palace for himself. The 2 projects seem linked.
Right. Sacred and royal authority sort of side by side.
Yeah.
And he needs help.
A project this massive needs resources and expertise beyond what he likely had immediately available. So he reaches out
to King Hiram of Tyre. Or Huram someday.
Yes, Huram or Hiram. And he reminds Hiram, hey, you helped my father David, sending him timber.
So there's a history there, a prior relationship to build on.
Seems like it. Solomon lays out his plan, this magnificent temple and his needs.
Richer.
Primarily skilled labor, someone really good with gold, silver, bronze, iron, purple, crimson, blue fabrics, and engraving. And also, crucially, timber. Lots of it. Cedar, juniper, algum logs from Lebanon.
Lebanon cedar, famous stuff. So materials and specialized craftsmanship.
Exactly. Stuff Tyre was known for. And Hiram's response.
He's recorded as being very positive, right? Enthusiastic even.
Yeah, he praises God for putting such a wise son like Solomon on the throne, and he agrees to supply everything. The timber floated down the sea, and also a master craftsman, Huram, a real expert.
So international cooperation. Diplomacy playing a key role in this sacred project.
Absolutely. It underlines the scale and maybe the perceived importance of it even beyond Israel's borders.
Okay, so planning's done, resources secured. Chapter 3 is where the actual building starts.
Finally breaking ground. And Chronicles, it gives us a more concise account here than, say, the books of Kings.
It focuses more, perhaps.
Yeah, it seems to really zero in on the essentials, particularly the temple, the holy place and the most holy place, the inner sanctuary.
And it mentions the specific location, Mount Moriah in Jerusalem, where David had prepared the site.
Right, connecting it back to David's preparations. And it gives a start date, the 2nd month of the 4th year of Solomon's reign. Very precise.
It also gives dimensions, gives you a feel for the size, though maybe not a complete blueprint.
And one detail that gets specific mention is the 2 pillars.
Ah, yes. Yachin and Boaz, standing in front of the temple porch.
Exactly. Huge bronze pillars. Chronicles describes them in some detail, their height, their capitals. They seem symbolically very important.
Almost like landmarks for the temple entrance.
Yeah.
And maybe significant later when the temple was rebuilt.
That's a strong possibility, yeah. They become iconic. So chapter 3 gives us the main structure, the location, the timing, and these key features like the inner sanctuary and the pillars.
Okay, structure up. What about inside? Chapter 4 seems to cover that.
Exactly. If chapter 3 was the shell, chapter 4 is about filling it with the necessary equipment, furnishings, the articles needed for worship.
Right, all the things needed for the sacrificial system and the rituals.
And the text is quite detailed here, listing things out. It acknowledges, or maybe we infer, that we don't know the exact function of every single item today.
But they all had a purpose in the context of temple worship back then.
Definitely. It starts with the bronze items, mostly for the courtyard.
Like the big bronze altar, much larger than the old one at Gibeon.
Much larger, yeah. And the sea, this huge bronze basin held up by 12 bronze oxen. Quite an image.
Used for priestly washing, wasn't it?
That's the understanding, yes. And 10 smaller bronze basins on stands, also for washing parts of the offerings. Lots of bronze work out there.
And then inside, more precious materials.
Yes. Then it moves to the gold articles for inside the holy place. The lampstands, 10 of them, not just one like in the tabernacle. Tables, also 10. And the golden altar of incense. Utensils, all gold.
Wow, the sheer amount of gold and bronze is staggering.
It really emphasizes the richness and the dedication of resources to this space. The chapter also mentions the construction of the courtyards, the inner court for priests, and the great court and the gates overlaid with bronze.
So it's a pretty comprehensive list, from the massive altar down to the smaller golden implements.
It is, and it concludes by noting that Hiram, the craftsman, made the bronze items while Solomon oversaw the making of the gold items and the temple structure itself. It reinforces that collaborative effort again.